Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm going to call this segment Homestead Hacks. And what I'm talking about are life hacks, which if you look it up, it's basically an easy, convenient, or kind of creative way to solve a problem. And when I talk about homestead, I'm talking about things that, the old timers did just with a piece of wood instead of buying a piece of hardware at the hardware store. So let's get started. Okay, first up is probably the simplest. You need to have a door closed securely. Just have a little piece of 2x2 with a loose screw. And if you really want protection, do one at the top, one at the bottom, and that ain't going anywhere. Now, the other thing is, with this setup, you have to have a stop. So the door comes in, stops against this, and so this is really like a one-sided type of latch. All right, for a two-sided latch, you would buy this. This is in the hardware section of the hardware store, and obviously it just closes down and there you have it. But what do you do if you're inside? Okay, so let's go inside, close this door. Well, how do you open it? So you have to drill a hole, run a wire, and now when you pull this, it basically lifts this. The issue with this is you've got to spend money on it. Okay, speaking of door latches, here is another typical situation. I want to go in the garden, but when I'm in the garden, I also want to close it and lock it behind me. So you could get one of those metal pieces of hardware, but what I did, watch this, is I just made one of these. So this has a dowel going through, connecting them. It's glued and screwed in. And now when I'm in the garden and I want to close the door, kind of hard to do it with one hand. There you go. All right, another thing. You want to keep rabbits out, so you want your fencing to come all the way to the ground and then flare out based on the rabbit-proof fence in Australia. So if they try to dig, they're not going to get through. But check this out. Okay, when I close the door, you notice you got a solid 4x4, so rabbits can't get under there. But now let's say you want to bring the wheelbarrow in. Well, I drove 2 pins, rebar pins, into the ground, and this just basically comes up and out. So, be creative. There we go, removable block. Okay, another option to keep rabbits out, but being able to get in and out of a fenced-in area is what I did here was pour concrete. I think this is 2 bags of concrete, and while it was wet, I've got some reinforcing wire mesh in there. While it was wet and just starting to solidify, I brought the bottom of this up so that, it's touching. So there's no rabbit that's gonna get through that. And also, check this out. Right here would be a gap that a rabbit can get through. This is a piece of black plastic pipe that I just basically strapped onto the door, and when it closes that gap. Same thing on the other side. Now this is a smaller piece of pipe because the gap is smaller, but again, think about these gaps. One more thing about rabbits, it has to be chicken wire. Rabbits will go through chain link fence. I've seen them run through these easily, and even these little 2x4 inch sections, they'll run through that. So you see this is my third version, go all the way to chicken wire. And again, this is buried underground right here, so that if a rabbit tries to dig, they're going to basically hit that layer of fencing coming out into the driveway. While I'm here, let me show you this super, super simple little door stop. It's just 2 pieces of 4x4 and a 2x4. It's so old that it's starting to come apart, but this is remarkably secure so that the goats don't close themselves in there and get locked in. Another homestead hack. It's not really a hack, but if you can buy something at a discounted price, you say, why do you have such a fancy door? Well, this one was at the hardware store and this had broken off. Talk to the manager, ask him to take 50% off. So you get a door that's a solid vinyl door, like 50% off, sometimes even more than that. Okay, this one has to be my favorite. This is my feed bin where I keep the chicken and goat food. And a lot of times you just want to open it with one hand. Watch this. And boom, latched. So what this is you've got a hinge up here. This piece freely hangs, and then you've got a catch. So let me show you how this works. You lift it up, the momentum, see? All right. You do have to be careful, make sure it doesn't come off here, because this will fall down and bang you on the head. Let's look at that action one more time. Lift it up, slides down. So again, one-handed operation. You're in a hurry, you got a bag of feed, there you go. All right, I hope you enjoyed this installment of homestead hacks, and if you have any advice, any suggestions, any creative options you'd like to share, put them in the comments below.